What's up, guys? Please excuse the noise that you're going to be hearing throughout this video. I got my windows open because it's so flipping nice out. I like to I like to feel the breeze coming through the window and everything. So yeah, this is going to be my spoiler review of Avengers Endgame. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it and then come back because I'm going to be talking about spoilers and all that. So yeah, I freaking love this movie. I do. I think it's one of the best comic book movies ever made. I don't think it's the best one. I do have problems with it, which I'll get into a little bit later, but I do want to talk about the positives. I love how fast this movie goes. It is a 3-hour movie, but it doesn't feel like 3 hours. The movie ended, and I'm like, I wanted more. I wanted more of where the story was going and everything, and I loved that. I also liked how surprising it was. Thanos gets killed in the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the film, and when that happened, I was literally in my seat thinking, where the hell are they going to go with this story? It was great, and I freaking loved it. The best part about this film is obviously Iron Man. I think his presence in this movie was the greatest thing in the world, and the way he went out, he dies in the end. The way he went out, I thought was beautiful. You know, the series ended, the MCU began with him, and now it ended with him, and he defeated Thanos in the end. And he says, I am Iron Man, just like he ended the first movie of Iron Man back in 2008. He ended that movie by saying, I am Iron Man, so I thought that was a really nice tie-in to that movie. The way they ended Cap, holy Lord, that struck a chord in me. I teared up many times watching that play out. I knew when he went back in time again to go put the Infinity Stones back where they were, I was like, he ain't coming back. I know he's not coming back. I half expected him to just send the shield back, but then when you saw him on that bench and he's all old and decrepit, like that tore at my heart, that tugged at my heartstrings. And side note, am I the only one that thought that Captain America couldn't age for some reason? When I saw him sitting there as an old man, I was like, I didn't think that he could age, but then I thought about it, and I'm like, no, he can definitely age. He was just frozen in ice for 70 years, which, you know, that makes sense. And I just loved how they concluded this 10-year reign, or no, 11-year reign of the MCU. They're obviously doing more movies with Phase 4 and all that, but it really feels like this part of the MCU is over, and I like how it had that finality feel to it. So let's go into my 2 negatives of this film, 2 major gripes that I had with this movie. One of them, probably the biggest, Thor. Did not like where they went with him. I did not like Big Lebowski Thor. I thought that was probably one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in a movie. I thought it was way out of place, way out of character for him. And I heard that Chris Hemsworth was actually the one that suggested that. And that is the one time where I thought the Russo brothers would have been like, no, we're going to have this be a serious movie. But for some reason they went with it, and I didn't like how comedic it felt. It felt overly comedic for such a serious film. And then that also brings me to my other point. There are jokes in this movie that do not land, especially with Thor. I thought that the jokes and everything weren't all that great. I don't know. I wanted it to be a more serious film than it was. It kind of felt overly silly at times for such, like I said, for such a serious film, and I wanted it to just be a little bit more serious. Because my problem with Thor being fat and drunk and kind of silly in this movie is they played it off as a comedic character, you know? And he was the guy that should have went for the head in Infinity War. He should have went for the head with Thanos and should have killed him, right? And I am for him being like kind of fat and kind of outdoing him, you know, whatever himself in Endgame if they did it in a more serious tone. If they could have really delved into his mental, his mental state and made it a really serious character moment. But no, they just kind of played it off as, oh, fat Thor, Big Lebowski, haha. No, it didn't work for me, and I don't think it worked for a lot of people too. I've talked to a lot of my friends and everything, and they all agreed that Thor was really bad. Not really bad, but just the way they went with his character was just really, really disappointing. But overall, besides those two gripes that I had with the movie, I do think that this is a fantastic movie, and I will need to see it again. I haven't gotten around to seeing it for a second time, and who knows, maybe I'll like Thor the second time around. But yeah, those are my two gripes with the movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great finale to this 11-year reign that the MCU has had. And if I were to give it a grade, I'd probably give it like an A-. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If you like this video, comment, subscribe, whatever you got to do. And always remember, keep watching movies.